guest today is Jack Dunn, the Technical Director of Fermi Exploration, following an update from the company on their uranium joint venture. Jack, it's good to be speaking. How are things?
And you too, Mark. Going pretty well, thank you.
Good. Well, let's get an update then, what this is all about. You described the target here as unconventional in the Athabasca Basin. Of course, we're familiar with unconformity targets in this region, but what is this opportunity you're looking at here? What makes it unconventional?
So the target itself remains an unconformity-related target. We have got this really gorgeous unconformity there, and we're underneath around 200 meters of sandstone. The difference is with most of these these targets that we've been looking at, is that there's no graphite. So we've got big fault structures, and we want these huge fault structures as they're going to direct fluid to form as a deposit, ideally at that unconformity. That's the classic model we see everywhere. Okay. We've also got some really interesting soil anomalies on the surface. So there are cobalt, nickel, and arsenic alongside uranium in some certain areas. Those elements, cobalt, nickel, and arsenic, are best friends with uranium at the deposit formation and other locations. So if we've got these elements being picked up on the surface, there's a reasonable chance that they may be further down underground where we want to go and drill. We've also got a conductive feature that we call the S zone. That may be alteration, we're not entirely sure yet. But again, it's another aspect that these other deposits, this target's cousins, if you like, have, and it makes it quite an exciting, compelling target to be drilling.
So it's a good thing then that it's unconventional, or is that sort of yet to be determined by your program?
It's more that it just doesn't have graphite. So most of these deposits have graphite in this region. Now, various studies over the years have seen that you don't actually need graphite, and other deposits in the region, such as Centennial, which is around 150 kilometers to the east of the Badger Lake. So it's not an essential part of mineralization. You do need big fault structures, and we do need alteration, and we do need to have the ability to get hot water and fluids close to this unconformity, which is how these deposits form. We have those ingredients, and we'll be testing them in a couple of weeks.
Excellent. So a couple of weeks. So what does the program look like then? Or actually, what does success at the program look like then? What would be the ideal outcome?
So ideally, hitting a uranium deposit. We have plenty of the ingredients. We have these lovely fault structures. We have the unconformity, and we have the great soil geochemistry that suggests there may be mineralization there. So ideally, finding a uranium deposit. Alternatively, the exploration in the Athabasca Basin is quite challenging, and there's been multiple cases where people have drilled areas for decades and decades and never found anything, only to drill another hole on a bit of a whim and discover a world-class deposit. We're here to find a deposit, but a secondary outcome may be that we learn a little bit more and need to return in the future. It's all about understanding this system. There's been one drill hole drilled on Badger Lake in the last 50 or 60 years, and we're returning with at least 3 drill holes and potentially more to really define what's going on and understand this information, these modern techniques, this ambient noise tomography, which has allowed us to see in 3D the geology, the high-resolution soil geochemistry and the radon work that's given us an idea of what secondary components, what superficial material may have been moved from a potential deposit at depth, and those stunning copper, cobalt, nickel, and arsenic anomalies at surface. It's all coming together, and we just basically now need to drill it and understand what's going on.
So there's been a fair bit of work then to identify these targets, it sounds like. Just talk us through what the program looks like. You say it's starting in a couple of weeks, so how many drills are going in? How long will they take? How deep they're going? How long will it take to get initial results back from them?
So we've got 3 drill holes going on. If you review the RNS on our website, it indicates the cross-section of where we're looking at. The first one's going to pierce straight into one of these fault structures, see what we've got going on there. And the second one is going to come in from pierce another area. So we're just testing the fault structures, and then we're going to evaluate around that area. During that drilling, we'll obviously have fully qualified geologists logging the core and who understand what's going on. And then we'll look to move on to other areas of the property if results are supportive. In terms of assays and such like, it tends to take a few months for those to come through, but be in a position to know what's going on, ideally by the end of March.
Okay, good. And just give us a quick update, if you can, on Writenback then. You announced something last week on that.
Yeah, so Reitenbach was our project in the west of the basin. It's not an unconformity-related project. So here we are really far away from the Athabasca Basin itself. And therefore, the mineralization styles we're looking for changes. So there, it's likely we're looking at an intrusion-related or a pegmatite-hosted uranium deposit. Those 2 deposit types are typically found associated with big intrusions, and they're very different. But one of the issues on Reitenbach is that it's covered in gravel. So it's covered in sands and gravels, and we can't see the geology underneath. And that's something that's been a traditional issue with explorers over the last 70 years on that property. Last summer, in 2024, and then completing the work in 2025, we completed a fairly well-sized combined ionic leach and radon survey. Putting those two methods together has allowed us to detect a potential ribbon anomaly, which is where you get the movement of glacial material over a feature, and it kind of smears in a really messy way all of the boulders and stuff. And in our case, the uranium mineralization has been transported from the soil up the soil, up into the soil and further up. We were able to detect potentially where that feature is. So rather than looking at where the soil's been moved to, we can see where the uranium originates from. So that's been a really powerful technique. And Writenback has got 4 or 5 of these other boulder fields that have never been inspected, never been tested. So there's plenty of scope for more work on that property, and it's quite exciting.
Okay. So just finally on Reitenbach then, have you got a target to go after yet, or is this something that's being worked on?
We need a little bit more meat on the bones before we look to drill at Reitenbach. Ideally, I'd like to have some more targets before we move on there. But it's a really nice project. It's really exciting. It's got lots of good stuff, and then the structural geology is really exciting. So, yeah, we just need to sort of hone in a little bit more. Excellent.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time giving us that update today. Jack Dunn, the Technical Director at Fermi Exploration. And let's catch up then as the drills start turning.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at StockBoxMedia.com. Thank you for watching.